Hi there, this is Linda and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we're going to be flipping through how March went in my journals and planners. Let's go ahead and dive right in. Okay, you guys, we are one quarter into 2026 and I'm super excited to share how March went in my journals and planners. I feel like March went pretty well. The month started out super stressful with a ton of burnout, and I really relied heavily on my journals and planners to get me through that. And I think you'll see as the month went on, I became more in my journals and planners and used them more thoroughly. And I'm hoping that in my April flip through, you'll see even more done now that I'm in a much better place than I was at the beginning of the month of March. Before I get into any of the flip throughs, I do want to point out that this is my Sterling Ink Daily Journal, and I use this for daily journaling and memory keeping. And this one has its own separate video flip through, so I'm not going to share it in this video. But if you want to see a flip through of this, I will link that in the description box below. In this video, I'm going to be flipping through everything else in my journal and planner lineup. So all of these books that you see here. Sometimes in some months I flip through some additional books, but this month I don't think I have anything else to share with you. So we're just going to go through these 5. As usual, I am going to leave timestamps in the description box below if you want to skip ahead and only watch 1 or 2 of the journals. So let's start with my Take a Note. Okay, so this is the A5 Take a Note from the brand Take a Note. I know they have a few other different journals and planners, but this is really their main one. They make this in the A5 and the A6 size. And this is my second year in this planner. I use this for functional planning and for daily memory keeping. So I will share how that goes as we start flipping through. So this planner has a lay flat binding, which I absolutely love. If you are new to this type of planner and the Tomoe River paper, this is the dreamiest, best Tomoe River paper I have tried in any brand. So if you just love dreamy paper, this is the planner for you if you can make the layout work. So I love this layout for what I'm using it for. I wish that they made other layouts so I could use them for every single book because their paper is just amazing. So you start out with this Gantt chart here, which is what it's called, but it's basically a tracker for 2 things. So I track my steps and my activity, so different types of exercise. And this year I have not been doing so well with my steps. I used to get way more steps and I have kind of like wound that back a little bit. I always do a little bit in the winter because it's so cold where I live that I can't really get outside. So getting steps is a little bit harder. But I also have had some kind of health issues that have made walking so much not the best use of my time. But I am still trying to get some walks. So you can see I do have a decent amount of over 10,000 days, but none over 15,000 here. And then in February, I have some over 15,000 and one over 20,000. That's because that's when I was traveling. And then I do yoga, try to do every other day. You can see here. There were a couple times I skipped 2 days in a row. Not ideal, but I'm not as bad as I was in January. I was so stressed. And then I was traveling, so I didn't really do it that much. I really just love having this kind of overview to see how it's going throughout the year. Then we get to, just kidding. Then we get to our Calendex. Hi, Editing Linda coming to you here from the future. I wanted to pop in and share how this spread was coming along because when I originally filmed this flip through, I had not finished filling it out and I meant to. So this Calendex spread, I have used the bottom piece the same as I used it last year, which is essentially long-term cleaning projects like deep cleaning and stuff. I kind of try to schedule it ahead of time each month to see kind of when I'm going to want to do something and when, just to kind of balance those. And then I fill in when I've done it. I have really not done a ton of my deep cleaning this year because it has been a super stressful year, but I'm hoping to try to catch up on that. But I was struggling with what to do with the top portion. So when I was in the Hobonichi Cousin, I used this for tracking, but in the Take a Note, there's just a really small space up here. And I had previously written vertically what the things I was tracking were. and I didn't need that. And I didn't really need it as an index because this is really just like my daily planner. So I struggled to kind of think about what I needed it for. And then finally, it kind of came to me that I really wanted to see an overview of kind of where my time was going. I don't have a lot of time. I feel super stressed and busy a lot. And so I wanted to kind of figure out where all of my time goes. So I broke my days into 4 categories or 5 categories, and I'm highlighting the main category that takes precedent for that day. So this green color is travel, and when I'm traveling, I'm going to use that color and write in where I was. So obviously all of these days, that's where my time went. The 2 blues are work. I do have a full-time job. I am a tax attorney, and I am like about 50% telecommuting. So for when I work in the office, I use the darker blue, and when I worked from home, I use the lighter blue, simply because when I work from home, it is a lower energy event. I don't have to drive anywhere, I don't have to get ready, and I have less interaction with coworkers, which as an introvert really exhausts me. Especially I found that that's more so in the past couple of years because my role at work has changed, and I am a supervisor and I train people. So I have a lot of interaction when I'm in the office. Often a very large portion of my day is spent talking to people. So that's very different from when I work from home. So I wanted to balance that out. And then for other days, I put 2 different categories, and I essentially am using pink when the majority of the day was taken up by some sort of event or task. Sometimes they're social events, sometimes it was chores or something that just kind of took over the day. And then purple is when I'm generally just home for the day. So those are like my free time days. That said, sometimes I have multiple things in a day. So when something else was going on, I would write it in so I kind of had an idea. So for example, here you can see there's a weekend I spent at home, but on the Saturday, we went and got groceries in the morning, which does take a little bit of time out of my day, but not enough to make it a pink day. For example, here's a pink day. I spent this day with my friends in Socrates. We went there for pretty much the whole day, and that took most of my energy and time for the day. It was fun. It was great. I'm happy that I went, but that's where that day went. So I can kind of see that. And then even on work days, I wrote in things like here after work, I went out to dinner with some friends. Here I went out on a date night. Here I had a dentist appointment after work. So I can see that there's more things going on just to kind of see what else is filling up my time. So I can see kind of like how many days do I actually have to myself versus work and other things. And honestly, it's not that many because it's really like the purple. So I was super, super stressed and burned out in February, and you can see why, because I was traveling, which is fun, but then I came back and it was mostly work. I had a few days here, and then I had this civil service test, which took up a Saturday. So I have not a lot of purple. And then here in March, when things got a little bit better, I have way more pink and purple as opposed to work and travel, which really takes a lot of my time and energy. So I thought that this was really kind of an interesting overview to see kind of where my time is going. I was able to easily backfill a lot of this using my monthly calendar and my journal pages to kind of remind me what happened on which day, but I'm going to try to keep up with it, maybe updating like about once a week so I can see in real time kind of how things are going. Then let's go to our monthly. So here, I use this as a monthly functional planner. And so I have all of my planning here. I use the Coffee Monster Co. kits. I do share this setup in my monthly plan with me. On the side here, I write out what kit I'm using for Project Life. Here, I actually forgot to fill this in, but it was stash busting. So I'm going to write that again. And then over here, I put my chores and cleaning and stuff. And this is just like an ideal list. I don't really do all of these things every month. I generally want to do them like every other month, but I put some of them more often. But I put things on there, and I also forget to update this often, but I try to keep track of when was kind of like the last time I did something. Okay, then let's move to the main bulk of the planner. So before I get into that, I'm just going to flip to a random page. If you're not familiar with this planner, you get the week on 2 pages or 2 spreads. and you end up with a horizontal weekly, which essentially is the size of like the Hobonichi weeks spread. And then you have a full column per day. So basically like the right-hand side of the Hobonichi weeks per day. And then that goes on to 2 spreads. So how I use this is I use this column for functional planning. I split it in 2, and on the left-hand side, I do my schedule. On the right-hand side, I have task list and sometimes some additional journaling and a habit tracking. And then I use the daily spots for functional planning during the day. So I usually have a task list at the top, and I don't have that every single day, but I do it often. And then I come back in and fill the bottom part with photos and reflections on what actually happened. And this is what I use as a reference when working on Project Life or other scrapbooking layouts, and just essentially kind of a recap of what happened. For this spread, I went with a color scheme. I have this blue ink, which is from Ferris Wheel Press, and I have this, I paired it with a navy and this like peach color from the Ritex sign brush pens, and I use that just to kind of decorate, and I added more like bubbles and stuff and stickers and things just to make it like a little more full than I normally do, and I had a lot of fun with that. And this color scheme was really coming off of this washi tape. Then this week I went with a rainbow theme, and I was really struggling with burnout, so I didn't really take pictures. So instead I printed some memes and things. Here, this was like when I screenshot. So these are just things I screenshot on the internet and then print. This one just says, in March, I'll be rested, caught up, and human, which I thought was just a very fitting because I was struggling with so much burnout coming off of February. And then here, just a meme for current events, Kim Jong-un saying when everyone is bombing each other and no one is inviting you, and he's kind of like crying. So I found that funny. And, you know, you have to laugh about what's going on in the world so that it doesn't destroy you. So here I have a photo of my cat, but like I try to do a photo per day, but I just really wasn't taking pictures. And I think I talked about that in my Project Life spreads as well for these weeks. So here again, another meme. Was I productive this week? No. Was I able to relax? Also no. But was I at least gentle with myself about all of this? No. Very fitting for my week. Then a couple of more photos. And then here I did the screenshot of the 1000th connection. I don't know why thumbs down. Oh, the thumbs down is just because I had like a rough day. It had nothing to do with the connections. It just kind of looks like it is. But yeah, adding in icons and some notes about what's going on. And again, my task list across the top. Here you can see I was just so busy and like burned out. I didn't do habit tracking. I barely did any task lists, and that's okay. Again, another meme. It looks like you're barely holding it together. Need some help. Who remembers this guy from, I don't even know, Microsoft Word from way back in the day. Definitely adorable and what I needed. Then finally getting back to a few photos, adding in some washi tape and stuff just to add some details. And some days like this, I don't have a task list, and that's totally fine. I just fill it in with more other stuff. So generally during the week itself, I only fill this and I fill these top parts. And then usually Sunday afternoon, I will print my photos and come back in and fill things up. So I did want to point out, I think it was pretty recently here, like I started printing my photos a little bit smaller, and I like the way they look, but I did have too much space to fill. So I think I'm going back to the larger size. It also didn't work as well like on the page layout because I print on 8.5 by 11 paper, and this size didn't like divide evenly. So I had like a weird, awkward column of paper that I couldn't fill. And then here, and next week, this one, I used this washi tape from the Coffee Monster Co. as my jumping off point, and then paired it with some red and blue. I really like how that came out. I just love that washi tape so much. And then here, I didn't do a ton of planning, but again, I have more to fill in the spread because it was busy days, and I had more photos. I didn't have a photo from this day, but I had 2 from Friday, so I just put them both there and felt like that worked. And then for this week, I feel like I was really getting back to like feeling more like myself, feeling better. And here's where I switched my photo paper. And so this was the Epson matte photo paper that I've used forever. And then I switched to this like clear sticker paper that my friend Jen recommended. And I like it because it isn't as much bulk and the photos are still like great quality. I don't like it because it's transparent and you can see the grid through it. But I think I'm still going to use it because of the lack of bulk, or at least try it for a while. Plus I bought a whole pack. And then here is the end of that week. And then the next week goes into April, and I haven't done that yet, so I will share that in my April flip through. Trying to doodle a toilet seat, I don't know. So that is a look at how March went in my Taken Out. Okay, next up is my 5-year journal. This is the Hobonichi 5-year journal in the A5 size. You will see if you follow me for long enough, pretty much my default is A5 for pretty much everything. And this, I am in my first year of starting this as a 5-year journal. So if you are new to my 5-year journal, I am doing a mixture of a traditional 5-year journal and prompts. So I liked the idea of a 5-year journal. I kept one in the past and I really thought it was fun to kind of look back on, but it is also kind of tedious to keep up with it every day. And I felt like it was a little repetitive too of my regular journal. So I wanted something a little bit different. So my plan with this is about 50% of the days are going to have a theme. And because this is the first year, I'm going to pick that theme this year. And then every year when I get to that day, I will reflect on whatever that theme was. And then the rest of the days, I'm just going to fill in with stories from that day or kind of what's going on in my life in general. On the 1st of March, on the right-hand side here, I'm using this to write out what my prompts are for the month of March. So I wrote that all out here. And that kind of helps me kind of to see what's coming. And sometimes there are things that I have to fill in that specific day. Otherwise, I will have a hard time kind of remembering what it was. So I just want to have that ahead of me here. So for the first, I decided to just write kind of what was my routine for the day and what day of the week it was, because it's not going to be the same day of the week every year. So it'll be kind of fun to just see, like, if in 2027, this is a Monday, what do I typically do? Or what did I do on that Monday? And then on March 2nd, it's my dad's birthday. He turned 80. So I think that I'm going to just do this to reflecting about him. And hopefully he is still around in 2030. Otherwise, it'll reflect about my dad in general. And I'm thinking I might add some photos of him or something over here as just kind of like part of this day. As far as the right-hand side, I don't have something for every single day. Sometimes I'm using it, sometimes I'm not. I've got 5 years to fill this thing. And in the end, even if some of them are blank, that's totally okay. Here's just some reflecting journaling. Sometimes I want to have some like decorative, but other times it's just going to be writing, totally fine. I needed just like a filler day, so I decided to just do a sticker bomb day, which I think I'm going to do this maybe once a month. And it's just a day to play with stickers, use up that last sticker on a sticker sheet, or just like use up the ones that I haven't found a use for. And it's just kind of fun. And it'll be fun to kind of see like what's in my collection over time. And probably I'll remember some of them or even still have some of these sets, which I think will be kind of fun to see. This day I was busy. I just wrote one line. Totally fine. Maybe next year I'll write more in here. And I have also gotten some questions about like what to do if you fall behind in here. And I am backfilling this sometimes. But if I fall super behind and I just don't do them, I'm going to let it go after that month. So if like it is during April and I'm trying to backfill, I'll backfill April. But then if I get to May and I haven't finished all of April, I'm just going to let them go for now. And then what I'm going to do is like, so say I didn't fill this day in. When it is March 5th next year and I'm writing in this one, I will also backfill that one from 2026. And that will just make it a little bit more manageable. And sometimes maybe I won't backfill them and I'll just leave them blank. That's totally okay too. If you have 4 entries on a page, that's going to be still really neat to see. Here, just another reflection, journaling, and just adding a little bit of decor. More journaling. Sometimes, like I said, like I've been busy and so I'm just writing about the day. And like here, I had a really bad day, so I didn't even fill in the full day, and that's okay. This is one I want to do every month as well. Do my current favorite washi tapes. These are 2 from the Coffee Monster Co. I was kind of annoyed that I did this because I did this and then like the next day I got a new order in the mail from them. That was, I don't know. I was forgetting that it was going to come because I ordered it so long ago. And then those are my new favorite washi. So I had to save those for my next one in April, but these two are pretty good and I really like them. So I'm happy to have them in here. And it's just an easy way to fill the day and a way to use up more of your washi, and just fun to kind of look back on which ones were my favorite at the time. And it might be fun to see like if I still have those rolls. Here I did currents and last. So the current book I'm reading and the last book I read, TV show I'm watching by myself, and last TV show I watched by myself and then together with my boyfriend, and then the games I'm playing on my iPad. My rest day. This was just a journaling about that day. I added some decor in it. So in 2027, I might also decorate, or I might just write. Here's something new I tried for March, and I did this for 2 days in March. I really like it, where I just did like word bubbles of stuff that happened that day and just kind of what was going on. And I used all shades of blue. And I'm thinking next year I might either just continue with the color scheme, or I might do a totally different color. And then if I do that, maybe I'll flow it into this page too. And each year can have its own color scheme. I think that actually might be pretty cool. And then I can go over here as well. I just thought of that right now. So maybe I'll want to go back and add more. Here I did a everything I ate. Another just kind of regular reflecting journaling day, adding some stickers. I was working on my craft room cleanup. So I might actually reflect on something related to that in the future years, or I might not, just depending on whatever's going on. On the 15th of the month, every month, I'm using this for my One Little Word reflections. If you're not familiar with it, One Little Word is a project that's hosted by Allie Edwards. And essentially the concept is to select a word each year that you want to be kind of your guiding word for personal growth during the year. And then each month there are prompts in a classroom to help you kind of reflect and live with that word. They're usually pretty creative prompts. Well, the prompt from March was a daily practice, and I knew that wasn't going to happen for me in March because I didn't even get a chance to look at the classroom until towards the end of the month. So instead, I pulled the April prompt, which was be present, and did that here. And then I'm doing the March prompt in April. And so I'm going to do the daily practice in April, and I will reflect on that there. So yeah, for this one, I just did my April prompt here, and I just wrote my word big on this side. I'm not sure what I'll do over here. Sometimes the prompts switch every year, so I'll see how it kind of comes together in the future. Another just reflection day. Like I said, I was really kind of busy and burned out the beginning of the month, so a lot of it was just like reflection. I had some extra space, so I filled it with some washi. I had sushi that day, so it made sense there. And then I did another prompt of today's weather. So I think that'll be fun to see over the course of the years how it is on that day, drawing it and putting the temperatures. On this day is the first day of spring, and it's the first day of spring most of these years. So I thought it would be a fun day to kind of write my bucket list for the year, and then I might do some reflections on the side of how this kind of came together. And I did actually do a spring bucket list in another place with way more elaboration, and so I just kind of copied it in here because I think it'll be fun to kind of look at what I want to do each year, because some of these are probably ones I will have every year, and some are ones that are just specific to 2026. Here I decided to do what I'm currently playing on my iPad. And then I did I have too much / too many list of just things, because that was kind of what was on my mind. I might not stick with some of these things. I might give up in the future, just depending on how I feel about it when it comes around. Currently working on, I thought that would be a fun one. And then this is just a fun way that I've been using to kind of document some of the days. And I think that this will be fun to use this style in future years. I didn't do it very much in March just because I was so stressed and busy, but I'm going to try to do it more in April. Another one of those word bubble ones, and this time I used green. And then here's some just a regular journaling day. Then for this day, I decided to do reflections on keeping the 5-year journal. I feel like I'm about a quarter of the way into the year. And so I think I might do a little bit more reflections every year and kind of like how this project is going and how I feel about it and that kind of stuff. Here I had some updates on my student loans. I'm in the public service loan forgiveness program, and there's been such stress around it. So I feel like I can just check in on that progress, because it is definitely not going to be gone, even though it should have been gone 2 years ago. And if it is, then I will celebrate that on this day. Just another journaling day. Like I said, a lot of these are just regular journaling days without themes. I'm trying to do like 50-50. Here I did my what's currently inked, and then on this side I decided to do like a current favorite fountain pens, and I thought that that would be fun. I think I want to do more like this throughout. I might even come back and put some into March, and then you'll see it in future videos, because I just haven't been using the right hand side page that much. I've been using it maybe like a fifth or sixth of the time, so I want to use them a few more times. More than that, maybe like half the time would be nice. Some of them I'm going to have to wait and do in future years. And I do have some plans for some later ones. But yeah, so I'll share those in the future. But for now, I want to try to do like a few more of them. And then on the last day of the month, as always, I'm doing a recap. And then on this side, I'm putting a photo of me from this month, which is going to match the one that is in my daily journal, and I haven't printed those yet for March, so I'm gonna have to fill those in later, but you'll be able to see that in a future video. But otherwise, this is done for March. Okay, next let's take a look at my everyday carry. This is the Soft Paper Studios weekly diary. This is designed to basically be like a Hobonichi weeks, but it is undated and blank without any of the branding. I love that it doesn't have the branding, and I love the pages are white. What I love about this book kind of ends at that spot. I hate that it's undated and I have to fill it in myself. I hate that it's not lay flat. The paper is fine. It's Tomoe River paper, which I love, but it's not like the best or anything. And yeah, I'm not thrilled with this. I'm gonna stick it out because I did put all of the stickers in here. And not pick up a later weeks, just because I also don't love the Hobonichi weeks, but I won't use this again in 2027. I did decorate the cover, and I really like how that came together. And then, so I used my monthlies here for future planning, and this is the same as what's in my Take a Note. It's just this one I have on the go. I take it with me places, so if I need to check my calendar from somewhere other than my desk at home, I have this reference. And then in here, in the weeklies, I use these to document kind of what happened very quickly in quick note, like a quick notes fashion, to have as a reference to fill in my Take a Note and everything. And then on the right-hand side, I track my meals usually. And then I also just track like any other notes I need to put for myself. So here were some like house journal updates I needed to do, some stories that I wanted to journal about, just like some lists, and a tracker down here, trying to make it a little bit decorative. This is more of like a messy planner though, so even though I tried to add a little bit of like journaling and decoration, I don't get too much in here. What really makes this one useful though and helpful is that this one goes with me. So if I feel like journaling and I'm not at home, but I have a little bit of like downtime, I will use this journal, and I might make like notes of stories I want to tell in my journal or something like that. So things I need to print. And sometimes I don't get all of these filled in because this is a reference for my Take a Note. So if I'm writing in my Take a Note already and filling that in, I won't come back and backfill this one because I don't care about this being filled in. It's just to have for reference. In the back, there's notes pages, and my intention is to create some collections and lists back here. I still have not done that. We're a quarter of the way through the year. Part of that is because of the burnout. Part of that is because, like I said, I just don't love this planner that much. I still think I might do some of them just for fun, and because there's a few lists that have been floating around in my head that I think I could use, but otherwise, I don't care that much if I end up not doing any. It's totally fine. It's still serving its purpose in the front part of the book. Okay, next let's check in with my craft planner. So, I don't share everything in here because a lot of this is either private or paid content, but I have my check-in on my craft goals here. I use this to plan my YouTube and just kind of get a feel for what videos I want to share coming up. My monthlies I use for my content tracking. And so I have all of that. This is my March content here. So that's all done. You can see kind of everything that I shared on Instagram and YouTube. And I put it in here as I schedule it. And then there's the weekly spreads. And I kind of use these just to track kind of what I need to film and that kind of thing. So they're just kind of messy notes. And then I have to my notes pages here. And let's see. Some of these are just like important things or like references that I can't share, but I do have my project life tracker. So you can see kind of as I've started to plan ahead, what weeks I'm going to do and what kits I'm going to use. And then flipping to my March trackers, I did pretty well with crafting in March. I got a lot more done than I thought I was going to because like I said, I was really burned out. I ended up not doing my Ferris wheel press because I ended up skipping the month, which you can do with that creative team. I did finish my Cocoa Daisy. I did a lot of project life and just a lot of other things. And then I got so many products this month and my trackers. So in this tracker, I used to track products in and products out. And I had so many come in, but it's not my fault. I got 2 months worth of Cocoa Daisy things came in March because one of them came early. And then I got a lot from Allie Edwards, including all the Week in the Life kits and the new Storyteller kit and everything. So it was just a very new product in month. I got just like a lot, but I did also use a lot and I purged quite a bit of stuff in my craft room cleanup. And I've also been working on my stamp organization, so that's good. The only thing I made this month in here was I started this spread of like stories of ones I want to tell and plan for. So I'm tracking that. If it's highlighted, I've already planned to tell that story. If it's crossed out, I've already told that story. And this is for just my stories album for 2026. And then here's just some projects to share. I have some photos and things that I have taken. These are projects that I've made in my story albums, but I haven't shared on Instagram. And I just keep this list because if I need some content to share, then I'll go back and share one of these older pages with you guys. So that's it for my craft planner. Okay, so the last one I have to share with you is just my random notes planner. I've heard people call this a thinking book. It's just random notes. It's just plain blank. It's a journal from Sterling Ink with just plain grid and numbered pages. And essentially what I do at the beginning of the month is I add a sticker to designate the new month. And then this is just my messy, whatever notes, whatever I need in here. So for March, it actually got pretty messy. And you can see a lot of this just doesn't even make sense. But I am doing like color schemes. So what colors go with washi tape. And that's pretty much it. But I felt like it was just so messy in March that in April, I'm going to try to make it a little less messy. But that's okay. Like, that's what this is for. It's basically to prevent me from wasting just like having sticky notes everywhere and just having a place for all those random notes. Okay, so this is a look at how March went in my planners and journals. Thank you guys so much for being here. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. And as always, I hope to see you guys all in the next one. Bye.